Hi guys, I'm Jacqueline Oluyan, or Jackie for short, and I want to introduce you guys to Candy Girl. Before I do that though, do you guys want to see what inspired me in the first place to start drawing when I was younger? Okay, I know you can't respond, so I'm gonna show you anyway. So here it is. I'm not exactly sure who drew this. I think it was my brother's friend. I don't know. All I know is that I found it in my older sister's stuff and I took it because I thought it looked pretty. So, yeah, this is just a sketch of a random character, and I thought to myself, as a fourth grader, wow, I want to draw like that. And I did. Obviously, it doesn't look exactly like it, but it was a start. Look, I grew up with my older siblings who were super into video games, anime, and whatever pop culture stuff that was relevant at the time, so I will admit a lot of my interests were influenced by them. And from then on began my passion for drawing and my journey towards becoming who I am today and who I will be. In a nutshell, I like to draw characters to cope with life. How do I do that exactly? So, I traditionally create 2D illustrations on paper, so the mediums I gravitate towards are inks, markers, color pencils, and watercolors. The medium I choose really just depends on the mood I'm trying to depict and how realistic I want to render the figure or object I'm focusing on. And scale-wise, I can work anywhere between like 2 to 3 inches or 3 by 4 feet, but I do tend to be more comfortable working on like the smaller side. Now, conceptually, what I'm really interested in is what makes a human being human. Like, what psychologically goes on and the physical effects that manifests because of it. There's just so many components going on that keep us alive, like the blood that flows through our veins, or the memories of thoughts, emotions, and experiences that float inside our brain. So, one way or another, my work really revolves around the human figure. More specifically, how an individual interacts with whatever physical or psychological environment they're put in and their reactions to it. Like, what makes us feel a certain way and why. So a lot of my pieces are inspired by the emotions I've faced in my life. And the way I depict this is through narrative. Each of us has our own unique stories and thoughts about everything, so I like to capture and sometimes exaggerate those moments of simple or complex emotions through the stories of characters I create. Okay, alright. Cue Candy Girl. This is where she comes in. So, for Candy Girl, she strives to have a happy go lucky attitude, so you'll often see her eating some type of candy, mainly her heart gummies. Like, she always has a pack of candy on her. It's one of the things that she can control is her love for candy, since it never fails to make her feel better. So, yeah, it's her security blanket and a form of escapism simply because change intimidates her that much. So, she'll do whatever it takes to not think about whatever issues that may be going on. Candy Girl is the personification of the struggle between wants and needs. Really, just the struggle for balance. And here is just more concept art I've done on her. She's a work in progress, so some things will change, obviously. But with this project specifically, I want to create one body of work that revolves around her lifestyle that isn't particularly healthy. I intend to show the process of her eating candy and how it affects her physically and emotionally. This will be expressed through a sort of storyboard and graphic novel format with 7 panels. And as for the color palette, I want to begin the narrative with monochromatic grays, and as she eats the candy, it slowly transitions into iridescent pinks. And then at the end, it shifts back into monochromatic grays again. And so I made a little storyboard, just a really rough draft version. I'm probably going to change this anyway. So it first starts with her laying down on a couch and is gazing at another wrapper candy that hasn't been opened yet. And in the second, it's a close-up on the candy wrapper itself, and she begins to open it. And the third one pans to her biting down onto the candy, and you can kind of see she's kind of drooling. That's kind of weird, but anyways. The fourth one, we see the different chemicals in her brain beginning to activate. So maybe hormones like oxytocin or serotonin, dopamine, endorphins, stuff like that. I'll do my research, but I do want to depict the different areas of the brain that do flare up when she is eating the candy. So in the fifth one, we see the candy being digested inside the stomach acid. The sixth one, we see a portrait of her getting that sugar rush. And in the last panel, her sugar rush crashes and she feels the same, if not worse, before. And I reveal that there's actually many, many candy wrappers all around her. And again, these scenes, of course, can change, and the panels won't exactly be square like this. They'll be different orientations and lengths, depending on the flow of the official scenes I'll go with. And the mediums I like to use are also what I've previously mentioned, ink pens, colored inks, Copic markers, color pencils, all that jazz. But I'm also thinking about incorporating different media experimentation, so like marbling, salt dissolving in inks, and using actual bubbles to make markings. So I'll do more trial runs with that as well. Okay, so there's 3 ways I can present this piece, all of which would be in a portrait orientation with stretched watercolor paper and would hang on a wire. So the first option is a 3 by 4 foot rectangular canvas where it basically encompasses all the panels onto like quote unquote 1 page. And then the second option is separate canvases arranged into a 3 by 4 foot rectangular canvas. So it gives the implication of being on 1 quote unquote page. Each canvas would have to be measured and made by me, so there's a time crunch I would have to figure out with that if I end up going with it. And the third option is 18 by 24 inch triptych. So that way when you walk, I don't know, like when I was thinking about this, I thought, oh, when you're walking, you can kind of physically feel the progression of the story. So that's how I felt about that. And the stages of development, I would kind of break it down simply as these 6 steps. So this is what I have to do. The first is getting canvas material, stretching the paper. Second, gather reference images. 3, lay out my panels. 4, sketch out the scenes, ink the line work, and then color the panels. I say it's simple, but there's gonna be so much revision and probably things I haven't even thought of right now and will end up going with later. Okay, and then going off of that, here are the previous works I've done. This first piece here references the scale I want to go for. So this is 3 by 4 feet. This is done on a wood panel using gouache. And then the second piece here was done on CD cases using chalk pastels and is scaled at 44 by 39 inches. So with this one, this pretty much references the iridescent quality I want to go for the color palette in the Candy Girl piece. And with these next 2 works, they were done with color pencil on black mixed media paper and are 18 by 24 inches. So this realistic rendering is what I want to achieve in some of the panels, like the one where the chemicals are acting up in her brain or the candy being digested in the stomach acid. So there will be kind of like that little shift between like a little bit of stylized and then realistic rendering. So I do want to portray that contrast. Finally, these last 2 works reference the style of narrative I'm familiar working with lately. So these are just the first pages because there's many panels that I created. So I'll put a video of me flipping through the books at the end of the video. So feel free to look at that if you choose to. So On the left is a tiny book where the assignment was to choose 10 items and create a zine based off of them. So I made a story that tells the tale of two people on a first date. This was done on Bristol paper with inked pens and marker and is scaled at 2 by 2 inches. So it's really small. It's pocket size. I'm gonna put it in my pocket, bring it with me if I'm bored or something. And here on the right is one of my most recent pieces. And the assignment was to recontextualize an old myth. So here I did a modern retell of an urban tale called The Velvet Ribbon. And this little book was done on hot press watercolor paper with colored inks and is scaled at 3 by 4 inches. So it's another tiny book I can bring with me in my bag or something. But yeah, in terms of what I can realistically get done personally within the semester, I am leaning towards just the one 3 by 4 foot canvas since I already have the wooden framing, so I just need to stretch watercolor paper over it. I am working on more concept sketches to solidify my ideas for this piece. So yeah, this is just the basic gist on how I want to present Candy Girl at the BFA show. Hopefully you have a good grasp at what I'm aiming for. So thank you guys. I look forward to all the feedback you guys will give. And here is the video section.